Fuck it, we'll do it live. Don't write it, and we'll just do it live. Good afternoon, everybody. It is 12 April 2023. My taxes aren't done, and this is the Mandatory Carry Shit Show. All right. Well, I'm going to start off by saying, to the best of my knowledge, Ozzy was in fact first. Absolutely first. If a StreamYard has not dropped anything off, he commented just over 4 hours ago. The stream has been up for 2 weeks because I had to go to Plaster House. No, Pappa CARRY is fine, but he needed me in a hurry. Hey, Ozzy is here, as a matter of fact. Now, Ozzy, tell me the truth. Did you have the stream on this whole time? Moving right along. It's actually, Oz, I don't care. You don't have to tell me. It's not that important, bro. All right. So we're going to start with this week's really not incredibly ingenious meme. In fact, I don't even know if this qualifies as a meme. Family first. Dear gun control experts, pick the assault weapon. I assure you, there is one here. If you can't, sit down and shut the fuck up. Bell. You have the bell on for me? Thank you, Ozzy. By the way, guys, I will bring the chat up as soon as we're done with this part. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely assure you, one of the three of these is an assault weapon, at least by the supposedly weird and strange and unusual definition that I use. And, oh yeah, also by the definition the United States Army uses, even today. Now, at the time that this was developed, hey, Shadow, at the time that this weapon was developed, or should I say these weapons were developed, the United States Army did not have the term assault weapon, assault rifle, or anything else. So they called it a carbine. The funny thing about a carbine is it doesn't have a specific definition. It just means short rifle, or short musket, rather. So, in this picture, there is one M1 carbine, one M2 carbine, and one M1 replica carbine. Somewhere around the 70s or 80s. Whatever the hell the name of that company was. Maybe still is, I don't know. Started producing a replica of the M1 carbine because it is an iconic weapon of war. I just said that. I did. But they made a few small tweaks, like the original had one bolt carrier spring. They put 2 rails on it and 2 springs. Now I guess it moves back and forth more smoothly. I don't know. I don't care. It's not relevant. One of these is in fact an M2, and it's probably not going to be the one you're going to think of. Hey, Sam, thanks for coming in. Try and catch the rerun because this first part's pretty interesting. It's going to be interesting. The next part is going to be even more interesting. It's a shame you're going to miss that. But that's okay. Okay, Shadow, that's a lucky guess. But no. Well, to be perfectly blunt, guys, I'm not completely sure I know which one it is either. Now I'm going to give you all a big fat fucking hint. So maybe you can go look it up. I took this picture off of Wikipedia about 2. Give me a second, guys. I have to deal with a situation. It's a damn good thing. Yes, I do know, Shadow. So you stop cheating. Moving right along. Where was I? Oh, I'm not entirely sure I know. But I took this picture off of Wikipedia about 2 years ago. So this was on their website. And that's how I knew. Or more precisely, that's how I'm so sure of my answer. Where was I? Oh, yes. If you can't tell the difference just by looking at them, then you should probably sit down, shut up, and pay attention. Because I goddamn guarantee you don't know what you're talking about. I want to go over the definition, my definition, at least, of assault weapon for a moment. Automatic and or burst fire capable and detachable magazine fed. The M2 carbine was chambered in a 30 cal, a very special round that was actually kind of developed just for the M2. What they did was they took the shell casing for not 45. It was a pistol cartridge. I forgot the cartridge. But they took that shell casing and they just stretched it out, I think about 3 times. Now, some people say that makes the M1 and 2 a pistol caliber because it came from pistol caliber. That's as fallacious as saying that the 223 and the 556 are pistol calibers because they both came from the 22. They did. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. The 223 was developed from the 22 caliber pistol, the 22 LR. I would love somebody to tell me that the 223 is a pistol caliber. I'd love to hear somebody say that. Okay, so I got really slammed to the point where I'm still fucking bitter about this on Twitter. So I guess I shouldn't be that upset because that's a repository of every bit of disinformation on Earth. Shadow, you're trying to piss me off now. Yeah, folks, I will go over the chat here in a minute so that you can see what I'm seeing. I wonder if there's a way add item. No, that's not going to work. This card changes. Maybe someday I'll figure this shit out. Yes, you are succeeding, you little bastard. Where was I? I got slammed on Twitter, so I guess I should take it with a big fat grain of salt. I offered the definition of assault weapon as automatic and or burst fire capable, detachable box, magazine fed. I've since then realized there's at least 3 assault weapons, legitimately assault weapons. One of them is the Pancor jackhammer, of which only 2 were ever completed and a prototype still exists. That's it. That's all of the Pancor jackhammers on Earth ever to date. Unless somebody did a replica that I'm not aware of. It ran off a drum magazine, which is the same as saying the cylinder on a revolver. It was a revolver shotgun revolver, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Mine's slightly blown. And I'm okay with that. It was also automatic. It was developed by, I believe, a Marine just after Korea, who had seen the Chinese wave attacks and thought, we need something better than this. Yeah, you know what? That has got to be highlighted because that is too true to ignore. Okay. So the Pancor, right? So I've since taken the word box out of the definition. It is what it is. You just have to accept it. This guy then proceeded to berate me over the course of about 5 tweets about how that's a assault rifle and requires intermediate cartridge, and it requires what was the other requirement he put on it to meet the definition of assault rifle by United States Army definition. Okay. So it's not like he's just totally lying, but he's ignoring anything that doesn't meet his narrow definition. I reached out to several experts in the gun industry, got one response. I'm going to leave the who for a different discussion because I really would love to get him in here to discuss that matter specifically. But anyway, I asked them to give me a definition for intermediate cartridge. The one response I got, there is no fixed definition. Oh, gee. I could never have seen that coming. So I don't give a shit. I really don't give a fuck which side you're on. There is an actual distinct and finite definition. 2 parts. Only 2 to assault weapon. Uzis and MAC-10s qualify as assault weapons if they're automatic. Which, by the way, PT Ludi's guns, all of them were automatic. Well, all the ones he demonstrated on video were automatic only. The not the FN, but the MAT-49, which was a French submachine gun from the Indochina era, was automatic only. Alan Hart's MAC-10, which has probably been destroyed by now, unless it's being held as evidence still, was automatic only. And believe it or not, because he had that, I think it was Class 7 license, Brent had an automatic only AR-15 conversion. He had it legally, and he had it for comparison purposes. He had this gun so that he could see what a bare bones AR-15 to automatic conversion would be capable of, right? So he could test it besides something else somebody else had done if he needed to. It even had this fucking stamp. It actually had the stamp. It was on the right side of the trigger. Well, I don't know why he had it there. I don't care. It's not important to me. And this was the all right. Most people think of it as filing down the hook on the hammer, and sure, let's go with that. Okay. It wasn't. That's not actually how it works. But you know what? If you do that, first of all, I'm going to laugh at you. Second of all, I'm going to tell you it's illegal. And so, third of all, no, that's not how it works. And you'll just destroy your gun, and I'm okay with that. If you're the sort of person who would illegally convert an AR-15 to automatic, you're the sort of person who deserves to destroy your gun permanently. Right? So, pick the assault weapon. If you can't, sit down, shut up, and listen. All right. Oops. Now, mem number 2. If gun control was a car, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure if you Google the Ford Pinto, just Ford Pinto, right now as we speak, you'll still find this picture, although I might have reversed it. Nope, I did not. Okay, that's fine. If gun control was a car, it'd be the Ford Pinto. Unsafe at any speed. It doesn't mean it couldn't have been fixed, but by the time Ford really understood what their problems were, hey, DJ, yes, Pinto wagon. It's amazing what us old fuckers know, huh? Right. By the time Ford really understood what their problems were, it was kind of too little, too late, and could not be fixed. Actually, I'm pretty sure Ozzy recognizes that too. But moving right along. All gun control is so fucked up because we've got all these little laws that were meant to fix a problem in the moment without thinking about the big picture and the long term. I'll give you a basic, very, very basic example. $200 in 1936 was over a year's pay for an average American and well over a year's pay for somebody working in the farming industry. So if you wanted a Thompson submachine gun, you had to pay $200. Well, that was going to not happen. You needed some deep pockets to get that. People working on farms generally didn't have deep pockets. It was a fortune by the standard of the era, which, by the way, the number is been attributed to that was the price of a Thompson. It's been attributed to that was average in household income. It's been attributed to a couple other things. Doesn't really matter. What matters is nobody fucking thought, hey, someday $200 is going to be a week and a half. Oh. I mean, I can absolutely guarantee you that Ozzy here, who's a Canadian, by the way, could get an American class 3 stamp. All you'd have to do is go across the border, buy a Thompson, buy a Glock conversion kit, buy an M16, buy a whatever the fuck it is that he wants to get, and he could pay for it with about a week's worth, a couple days worth of work. Now it's such a big problem, it can't even be fixed. Congratulations, Congress. You can actually fuck up a wet dream. You people can actually fuck a wet dream up its ass sideways. Oh, yeah, by the way, I've been drinking. Oh, I forgot my banners. Ha. There's only one that's important. Okay. Now, gonna get the chat back up. And we're gonna scroll up. All right, so this was the pin post. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove the pin now because it's not important anymore. Wow, Shadow. Damn. Okay. Yes, you were succeeding. All right, the Pancor jackhammer will not be standard issue anything because the guy that developed it passed away, and well, it's just not going anywhere now. But the Cry Precision 612 may be because it is a 12 gauge semi-auto revolver shotgun attachment for the M16 and AR-15. Ozzy, I will fight you about the AK-47. It's a piece of shit. That's not entirely fair. It's a great weapon for intimidating unarmed civilians. I remember Pintos on the road there, Ozzy. Ridden in one. I am not in a position to fight with DJ about what Unsafe at Any Speed was about, but I recall everybody always saying it was about the Pinto. So maybe I should look into that. Oops. Wait. God damn it. Motherfucker. Just go up, you piece of crap shits. Okay. There we go. We are back. Maybe. Should be ashamed of myself sometimes. What the flying fuck? Okay, there we go. See, I told you guys I was going to include the stream as the chat as part of the stream. The funny thing is, I can see it on the screen that shows me what I look like before I see it on the StreamYard side. But if I go into StreamYard when somebody else is live, like say Exile Lioness, she does it all the time, I can hear them on StreamYard before I can hear them on YouTube. It's really weird. Okay. Ozzy's saying that the Pinto was subject to a lawsuit. I can't remember. I was way too little to remember that. DJ saying it was mostly tied to rear impact and gas tank. That's part of it. Actually, the history guy, History Deserves to Be Remembered, he did a great breakdown on the Pinto. You should actually check it out. It really did influence what I said here. But that was a big part of it. And DJ's talking about the Suzuki rollover, which was a thing, and the Firestone exploding, sort of, tires, which has, I mean, those are defective products, but nothing on the order of what the Pinto really was. It's the Pinto of laws. It's the one where you had a basic thing and you could have done it right to begin with, and you chose to do something else, something really stupid. And now they keep making it worse. Every fix I've ever heard of for a Ford Pinto made it worse. By the way, that includes moving the gas tanks. Right, good. I'm there. Now, I'm going to check something, guys, because what brought all of this up was motherfucker. There we go. Oh, roughly a week ago Wednesday. Really? I posted something on the Facebook page, which I will drop in the chat in case any of you want to go see my spurging out there. Oh yeah, I can just do this. Be much faster. Well, last time I checked, I was still able to post links in my own chat. Hey, Rob's here. Strap bolts. That was one of them. Thank you, Rob. Not quite old enough to remember that, but neither are you. How the hell do you know that? Okay. God, mother. Okay. I'm not going to name names, guys. I'm not that much of a dick. Picture. Okay. So about a week or so ago, posted to the Facebook page my standard, my Supra standard line, which is if the founders had foreseen the future, they would have written a very different Second Amendment. Closing with the duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. One thing most people don't realize is that was an early draft. Now we're talking early as in Hamilton, Jefferson, Madison, a few of the others are basically just having a chat. They're sitting around a fireside after dinner, having a couple drinks and saying to each other, well, what would this Bill of Rights look like? Well, what would we need on it? Right? We're talking at that level. And then maybe the next morning with the hangover, they write a letter to each other. Okay, well, here's my idea. What do you think? Now, I am a little behind on the chat, guys, so bear with me a moment. All right, so they're basically just talking to each other. That's the level of rough draft. And to give you an idea of how level of rough draft that version, where it was mandatory, was not all of the states had actually ratified the Constitution yet. I'm not just talking about Rhode Island, who had to end up ratifying it basically at gunpoint. I'm talking about it was not New York. It was not Delaware. Delaware was one of the first. It was not Maryland. I think it was Virginia, one of the Carolinas, and one of the New England states, other than Rhode Island. And I'm kind of struggling with my history here. Yes, history degree doesn't mean I'm a living encyclopedia. Okay, just like a math degree means sometimes you got to write things down to work the math out. Either way, a few of the states hadn't ratified yet. They were kind of ambivalent. Virginia, I believe it was, in Rhode Island. Were reluctant because there was no Bill of Rights. Now, I know Virginia would come around because they were promised a Bill of Rights. And okay, great. Good. Now we're willing to get with the program. Again, Rhode Island just basically had to have a gun pointed at their head to get them to sign. That's the level of rough draftery we're talking here. When that first kind of idea, well, maybe this would be a good Second Amendment, the duty of the people to keep and bear arms, was floated. That didn't get very far. Maybe it shouldn't have. Here's the thing I know. If they had foreseen the future, they would have written a very different Second Amendment. The duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. Put that up on Facebook. And I've been getting a lot of comments on the Facebook page from one individual who is just bound and determined he's going to prove me wrong. Well, guess what, dude? You lied, you lost. Remember, folks, my definition of lying is to repeat or to declare something that you know is untrue. All right? I know the sky is blue. So if I tell you the sky is orange, I'm probably lying. 90% probability the sky is not orange, except if it's an aurora borealis or australis. All right? Me telling you that the sky is orange means either I'm a delusional thinker and I don't know my blue from my orange, which, I mean, that could be true, and in which case I'm not really lying, or I'm fucking lying, or both. This individual keeps repeating the most tired, worn out lies. No, a forest fire cannot turn the sky orange, Ozzy. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It doesn't work that way. When I made my response to the Nashville shooting, all right, I talked about how this individual probably was mentally ill. All right. She was, well, let's face it, she was mentally ill. She told her friend that she intended to die today. Yeah. Send her friend a text message saying, you aren't going to hear from me again or something like that, but you're going to hear about me. Okay. That is what it is. This individual who's been giving me so much shit, which, by the way, I left him the link to this. So chances are he's watching now and is smart enough to keep his mouth shut this time. That's a hint. Right, where was I? Actually had the nerve to say that maybe with good gun laws, she wouldn't have gotten the gun. I'm seeing a lot of names that I recognize, so I'm going to guess that each and every one of you has seen gun control has failed. The only one maybe that hasn't is New York Outcast, because it is an older one, and I don't think I've left you that link, but I probably should. One of these days I'm going to think to do these things in advance. Fortunately, I can find it pretty quick. Unfortunately, it's not as quick as I want. Really? Oh, there you go. So, at your perusal, guys, go ahead and watch this later. Oh, I don't need that. Oh, Shadow of Hawk is not seen. Gun control has failed. There it is. Give it a second, guys. I want to make sure. Why not? Okay, good. What I did was I took 5 videos by 4 people. 2 of the 4 were absolutely with permission, specific permission. The 4th one was not in a position to give permission. He was in prison at the time, right? He wasn't going to be able to give me permission, and I think maybe he's still in prison. I'm not sure. The 3rd one never gave permission, but it did see I sent a message on Facebook saying, hey, can I use this video? And he saw it and never responded. I'm just saying. In it, Farmcraft 101 gave permission, demonstrated just how easily he made the lower receiver of an AR-15. Now, if you go check out the gun control has failed link, you may see that there's a link to Farmcraft's video on it on YouTube, right? That video has been removed. Go ahead and try it anyways. Maybe I remember to update it. FC, if you're watching this later and you see it and you say, oh, Carrie, you forgot to update it, I apologize. Send it to me again. I'll fix that. He made an AR-15 lower receiver, you know, the part with the serial number that makes it a gun in the United States, from beer cans. Not joking, people. Shows one of them in the original video. Also, in the long form of it, he made a shell casing from a little bit of some of the casting excess. Excuse me. You might want to cut down on this. Might not. By the way, aluminum shell casings don't work very well, but they will work perfectly fine once. Let me rephrase that. The gun will go bang, but then if you do it too many times, I could see how the little bits of aluminum breaking off of the shell casing will jam up the gun pretty quickly. I see how that's a potential to happen. Either way, the next one was by the Idahoan show. I dare anybody out there to tell me that the barrel of a gun is not technologically the most sophisticated piece. It's a serious pressure-bearing vessel, excuse me. It takes on a whole lot of pressure very, very quickly. Takes on heat very quickly, right? It's got to really be perfect each and every time. For those of you that remember the story about when Brent swapped out my real barrel for his homemade barrel, and then a couple of years later, he realized he'd used the wrong kind of metal. He'd used one that's a little too hard, right? He wasn't wrong to call me up in kind of a panic saying I used the wrong kind of metal. It was too hard. It's possible that was a problem, but you know what? We didn't die. I'm over it. Rest his soul in peace. Brent, I'm over that. Don't worry about it, bro. All right. Even being too hard could be a problem. I forgot why, but that's not important here. And Tim took a steel bolt. Yes, an ordinary fucking steel bolt. You can go down to a fastener shop. Yeah, you might have to go to a specialty fasteners. You might have to go to a specialty fastener shop, but I goddamn guarantee you, any one of you can find one within an hour's drive of where you live, or even where you're sitting right now in the case of Rob, and find one of those shops. Actually, Rob has an unfair advantage in that department because whatever, don't worry about it. But he made his own fucking barrel. He rifled it and everything. And you know what he used? A $200, almost $200. I have the same models. Don't give me some shit. Almost $200 drill press from Harbor Freight Tools. I'm not even joking. I went to Harbor Freight and got their cheapest drill press. That second cheapest drill press that they had at that store in stock. That's how I know it wasn't quite $200, but it was more than $100. I'm just saying. And a $20 bottle jack. As a matter of fact, as a result of Tim's experiment in rifling a homemade barrel out of a $20, I think that's what he said, bolt, I came to understand why striations happen in the riflings of a barrel. That's the little imperfections that happen that differentiate one barrel from another, and theoretically, therefore, one gun from another. Okay. The third video. A gentleman. Let's move on. He is a gentleman, but I never actually got a yes or no out of him, so I don't want to use a name. Reloaded 300 blackout with what he described as GoX, the cheapest black powder on the market, into an AR-15. He then ran those bullets through his AR. And you know what? The gun went bang each and every time. It did not cycle properly, even once that I saw. Right? There was a couple where it ejected. There was a couple where it stovepipe. It was a couple where it failed to eject. A couple of every kind of problem. Right? But it worked perfectly. It worked well enough. All right. It was now a bolt action rifle. All you have to do is cut the gas off. And you've got, it's kind of awkward bolt action rifle, but it is a very fucking real bolt action rifle. Would work perfectly well for that purpose. You could have gone into the trenches of World War I with that rifle, and you might have had a war-winning weapon at your hands. A couple ways to have solved that problem. One was either cut the gas off somehow, which is, without permanently altering the weapon, is easier said than done. And I acknowledge that before you guys spurg out on me. The second way of accomplishing that was to use better quality black powder. He said it was GoEx, the cheapest stuff you can find. Okay, it was GoEx. I mean, I don't know shit about black powder, guys. I know about this much about black powder. I've fired a black powder musket a few times in my life. But that's it. Shadow might know more about black powder than me from Zenny. Okay, go do your homework, Carrie. Go do your homework, Shadow. That notwithstanding, the Shadow might know more about black powder than I do from watching Zenny. It is what it is. Get a higher quality of black powder, and maybe it would have worked perfectly. I'm just saying it. It might have worked absolutely perfectly. He was inspired, by the way, by a very short-lived dystopian sci-fi series. Well, I don't know if it's sci-fi, but it was Sci-Fi Channel, about how electricity goes away from the universe, and all of a sudden they're talking about having to go back to black powder. So he decided to try it. It worked, sort of. Not perfectly. Maybe it would have worked perfectly. Better quality of black powder. I know I've said it 4 times. I'm going to say it one more time. Maybe it would have worked better with a better quality of black powder. Maybe that's all you needed to do differently. Okay. And now for the piece de resistance. There is a gentleman that I believe to be from Georgia. I've mentioned this earlier today, up there around PT Ludi, who made a 45 caliber Mac 10? I get my Macs confused, but I think it was Mac 10. It was a 45 caliber submachine pistol in automatic only. He even described how, and he used the right word here, by the way, the sear, which is the piece of the trigger that prevents the gun from going bang, prevents the bolt or whatever it is that makes the gun go bang. Well, yeah. He made the sear out of melted down beer cans. That I think he said he whittled it, which means eventually it would fail if the experience with the 223 aluminum shell cases is any indication. His sear would eventually fail. Okay, Alan, that's a thing you got to deal with. He made the receiver out of a steel track off of garage doors, quote, when they used to give a shit. You know what? I'm not sure if I got that quote exactly right. I might have to stand corrected, but I'm okay with that. He made the bolt out of an actual bolt. Oh, yeah, and he made the barrel out of a ram set. That's those tools where you put a 22 caliber blank in one end and you put a nail in the other. Me and Ozzy have gone around about this a couple times before. He says it's not called a ram set. That's a specific brand name. Okay, whatever you want to call them. I don't give a shit. Hold on to that thought, Rob. I'll come back to it in a second. He took the barrel off of one of those and bored it out to the 45 caliber. Now, before anybody says anything, it looked like shit. It was a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit gun. It was the kind of gun that terrorists could manufacture. Yeah. Actually, no, not even terrorists. Jackass like me could manufacture it. Alan even says he never completed high school and never learned how to. I don't. You know what? I can't remember if he said he never learned how to read or never learned how to read properly. Either way, it looked like a piece of shit. He's not lying. Rob is pointing out that the tracks on those old garage doors were thicker, and he's not wrong. But I've been to Lowe's 5 times in the last 3 months. They have exactly the same, not exactly the same thing. They have metal square brackets, right? That are the same basic material, same basic thickness. Actually, it might be a little bit thicker, might be too thick, but okay, that's fine. I'll cry myself to sleep tonight. I promise. I'll cry myself to sleep about the fact that their rails are maybe a little thicker. Either way, you don't need the roll-up door tracks. You can pick it up at Lowe's for about $20. You pick up the bolt for the bolt that he used, by the way. Yes, $10, $20. Well, actually, you can't get it from Lowe's or any of the other major general hardware companies. You would actually have to go to a specialty shop, a fastener shop, like the kind of place that would have the bolt needed to make a barrel from scratch. Unless, of course, Tim's lying to everybody and he didn't do exactly what he recorded himself doing. I'm going to put my money on Tim told the truth, and you can go and get that bolt for $20 at a specialty shop. And the bolt needed to seat the bullet into the barrel, the other bolt, for maybe another $10, right? And ram set, which by the way was $46.68 last time I checked. I know it was $4,668. Kind of weird how it came out that way. This was not for their top end. Well, I don't think it was their top end. I think it was actually their cheap model. The kind that if you're going to do a 5-finger discount, they'd rather you do it with that than something that's actually worth the money. Just saying. And if any of you know those numbers better than I do, by all means, please correct me. I'll even highlight it so that everybody else can see. Um, uh, Ozzy had the right number and I had the wrong. Oh, look at me, I'm a dumbass, right? Over it. Yeah, I Ozzy points out that there might be a reason for the rails difference. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. Ironically enough, you're going to watch that video, I hope, and you're going to see that Alan's part is actually two videos that have been spliced together for a bunch of reasons. Well, for one specific reason. I always thought that that he produced them in a particular order, right? I had somebody else splice all of these little bits and pieces together for me. I think it's 36 minutes total now. My friend got the two halves of the Alan video spliced together backwards. But then I watched the finished product and I realized, holy shit, I've been seeing them. I've been thinking of them backwards all these years. The part that I thought came first actually came second. Oh wow! I feel like a dumbass. And my friend accidentally got it right against my instructions. You know what? I'm okay with that. Hey, I should internet drunk more often, right, guys? All right. Not ignoring you in the chat, which is why I'm actually going to back up and see if there was anything really important that I missed. Okay, so DJ, I was not aware of the Gear Jammer. I've never even heard of it. Ozzy, you're right. That is a boomer book. Rob, you're not wrong. Thank God the barn fell, but I mean, it's kind of a yes and no thing. Oh, first of all, guys, Shadow says, "Oh, you want to pull a Europe requiring people of a certain tax bracket to also be at a standard military readiness?" No, I don't want to pull a Europe. I want to make everybody meet a certain standard of military readiness. Okay, Oz. Okay, so I know DJ and Rob understand that why I'm laughing at Shadow right now. Ozzy says, criminals are not known for following laws. You don't say. Holy shit, who would have seen that coming? Oh, that reminds me, but I'll get to that in a minute. I am not highlighting that. Ozzy, I recommend you not talk about that again. Publicly, at least. You see, guys, I was in the rant, so I was missed a lot. Okay, I want to highlight this one. Ozzy says local environmental laws may make producing the black powder ammo illegal. Lots of ways to circumvent constitutional preventions. You know what? I'd like to see them try. I really would. I'd love to see how that works out for them. Okay. Whoops. Ozzy, if you could send me that one. I don't care if it's a video. I don't care if it's a well, I do care if it's a Fox News article just as much as I care if it's an NPR or CNN article. I'd rather listen to Bob than Fox News, NPR, or CNN. At least Bob will tell you the truth when you're paying him to tell you the truth. Well, okay. Ozzy, to have more psychiatric facilities, you'd have to have a law to put them there. Especially if it's a law to put them there against their will. When I went into the hospital there in Oregon, because maybe I was thinking of hurting myself, I was actually told I had a choice. I could go in there on my own or I'd be put in there against my will. I went in on my own and I came out very quickly. Oregon, huh? Interesting. All right. Apropos, not a whole hell of a lot here. In most of the states, I know Georgia is one of the exceptions. Black powder is legal for a convicted felon to have. No. Loose powder, like muzzle loaders, is legal for a convicted felon to have. It's that quirk of federal law that basically says if it's not a complete shell casing, it's not really a gun. How long have I been going? Whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. Oh, so on a related note, because I just remembered something. This all started over one particular meme. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to stop this screen for a moment. We are at the hour mark. Thank you, Oz. And share a different screen. Because intro, you know, for starting shit. All right. So this was produced by Occupy Democrats. Jesus Christ, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. I lost track. This was the gun our founding fathers used. It fired 1 or 2 rounds per minute. That is the first lie. This is the AK-47 used in today's Walmart shooting in El Paso, which killed at least 18 people. It fires 45 rounds a minute. All right. That's only a half lie. The gun that was used in the El Paso shooting was not an AK-47. I know it looks like one. That doesn't mean it is. I'm going to let all of you in on a little bit of a secret. One that I know Rob and DJ and me and Ozzy's heard it by now. And pretty much everybody who's not lying through their teeth knows. All assault weapons were banned in 1936 with the National Firearms Act. No, actually, they weren't. It was a $200 stamp tax. Okay, fine. Oh, damn it. I just opened the invite by mistake. Okay. Except, yes, they were by the 1986, and excuse me while I chuckle, Firearm Owners Protection Act. It would have actually been a Firearm Owners Protection Act had it not been for the Hughes Amendment, which was literally passed at, what was it? 0215 on the day that the vote was supposed to be held. Talk about strategic implementation of an amendment. This amendment made it illegal to manufacture any more lower receivers for assault weapons after some day in January 1986. I don't even remember the day particularly. I'm not even sure I have the right year. So, Rob, DJ, if you can correct me, please do. Okay. There could be no more assault weapon lower receivers produced after that day. I feel okay about throwing this one under the bus. Forgotten Weapons talked about how there was one type of gun, a forgotten weapon, because that's what he does, that they had on the books something like 10,000 receivers. That particular gun, there is no upper and lower receiver. It's just one receiver. Okay. They had some on the books, something like 10,000 made. But then the big day came, and all of a sudden, they hadn't finished 10,000 receivers. They had finished like 5,000. Right? Ozzy, you heard that from me, and I'm not trusting my judgment here. Either way. So they had only half of their inventory. And because the other half of the inventory was incomplete, they were able to reutilize those receivers for something else. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't remember what the gun was, what that gun was. But it was out there, and it was a thing. We love you, Susan. You cunt. Oh, okay. Ozzy also heard it from Sticks. I hate Sticks. There's Sticks and Hammer, Ben Shapiro, and there's one other. Other than Bob, I just don't like. There's something about them. I don't like them. And it's not Shoe on It. I don't like her either, but I know why. Actually, I know why I don't like Ben now. He's a grifter. There, I said it. Ben Shapiro's a grifter. Milo's kind of a slimy dude, but at least he's not a grifter. Yeah, I said that too. Stiggs is a smug, arrogant little prick. There, I said it. Wow. It's true, too. That's the part that sucks. Moving right along. All right, DJ. Rock. DJ, message me on Instagram because I don't think mine are getting through to you. Or email me or something. I don't like Razor either. Razor there's something about him I just don't like. And I can't say what it is. I just don't like him. Where was I? Okay. Either way, the jokingly named Firearm Owners Protection Act made it illegal to manufacture any new assault weapons receivers after 1986. This one company had on the books 10,000. They only actually had 5,000. So they turned around and turned the rest of them into semi-autos. This individual who's been giving me hell for the last 2 weeks. You know what? I'm not going to verbatim it. I'm not like that. Oh, well, that's going to be a lot easier than I thought. All right. First of all, he claims that the rate of fire for a black powder is 3 rounds a minute. Well, no, actually, it's 6. 3 rounds per minute was Civil War era with percussion caps, which were a lot easier to handle than those old flintlocks. But it was a way to relieve it. It was based on the model of shooting. When you're shooting free fire, you should be able to get about 6 rounds a minute off. 40 to 45 rounds per minute is when you're hell-bent on shooting. You don't care what you hit. Sorry, guys. The fact of the matter is you can get it much higher, but you're not going to hit anything, especially with an AK. All right. AK-47s, the receivers twist and distort as they fire. That's why they're about as accurate as a nail gun, which means not very accurate at all. Pappa CARRY's 45 in Vietnam. Yeah, he described it as accurate to the end of the barrel. It was still probably more accurate than an AK because they were literally designed for terrorizing unarmed civilians. Okay. It's a lot easier to hit a big mass of civilians protesting bread shortages than it is trained soldiers on the battlefield who are moving and it's seeking cover. And to be perfectly blunt, uh, uh, um, Stalin knew exactly what real threat he had. The Americans were not coming, but he was going to have bread shortages here in a couple of years. I shouldn't touch this, but I will. For a very, very long time, I did not like Sebastian Gorka. He struck me as being in the same category as Razor and Ben and the rest of them. And then that free speech conference at the White House happened. And you know what? I came around. That old man was ready to take it outside. Okay, Sebastian, you have a little bit more respect out of me. You stepped up when the punk asked for it. Um, and I kind of wish the Secret Service had been forced to get in the middle of that. Um, I'm one of those war profiteers, Ozzy. I actually am one of those war profiteers people. I am actually one of those war profiteers people. In case anybody forgot, I'm a veteran. Moving right along. Where was I? The biggest lie about that mem is, first of all, that your rights change because technology does. And as I told the man at the time, you don't get to lecture me about this until you've mailed me your rebuttal on parchment using a feather quill. Moving right along from there. He didn't take the hint. He really did not take that hint. So, I'm going to pick on somebody I know is still here. DJ had to leave. Ozzy's still here, but Ozzy's been talking a lot. I want to pick on somebody else. Okay, Shadow's gone. Sam only stepped in for a second. Is there anybody else? Because that only leaves one person, and I don't want to pick on Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to pick on Rob because that's actually unfair advantage to Rob. Okay, I guess that's... Unless, of course, my little friend from Facebook is stupid and wants to open his mouth and make an absolute fucking fool of himself here. I would like anyone on Earth, but I'm going to pick on Rob first, to explain to me how you're going to defend yourself against even a Glock 22 with a black powder musket, a black powder anything, a flintlock pistol. You want to go down from there? Okay, there's not a whole long way down from there. But I'm sure that we can think of something if we all twinkle think on it really hard. We can twinkle think something if we really try hard. How are you going to stop a guy with even so much as a Glock 22 with a flintlock pistol? Dude, Time's up, ladies and gentlemen. What did you answer? Okay, Ozzy, that's not the subject today. Amazing. I have no answers. It's because there is no answer. You're not going to hold off even a Navy Walker, which, by the way, I own a Navy Walker, with a flintlock. Wow, I knew I was a bad singer, but I didn't realize that I sounded like the tune of I'm a Little Teapot as I thought I was going for the tune of Jeopardy. Whew. Ouch. Okay, that's going to leave a little bit of a permanent scar. It'll make for a nice party talk. That is a Fallout reference, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody at all, if you can tell me how you're going to hold off somebody with a home built, by the way, even semi-automatic pistol with a flintlock, by all means, explain it to me. All right, so this is one of those times when I think it's okay to throw somebody under the bus. In-range TV, about 3 years ago, I think it was, maybe 2.5, tested replica Panzergraben. That's German trench armor from World War I against weapons that it would have faced. Now, this was replica. It was exactly correct in all but one detail. Steel hardness. Because this was replica, the company that manufactured it didn't have to meet the German army, say 1914, I think. Steel hardness requirement. And to be perfectly blunt, they didn't by the end of the war. They weren't doing a really great job of meeting that standard anyways. Ian and Carl shot most of the weapons that they could get their hands on. And it actually, this replica German armor, by the way, it was kind of substandard, or inferior to the real thing, was able to handle all of the pistols that they fired at it. It was able to reduce. All right, all of the rifles went through. Just to be clear, all of the rifles went through. But as I'm watching it, I'm thinking it took so much out of that rifle round. The rifle round may not have been a deadly injury. It may have been really bad, but that German might have survived. There was only one where it was probably a deadly shot, and that was when they used Russian exploding ammo. You learn something new every day. Oh, yes. Now, if this World War II, excuse me, one era ammo could stop 45 and hi, Vil, you're late. Um, if this World War One German trench armor could stop all of the handguns of that era, well, that tells you how weak it really is. Because I know those weapons really were. Because I know that police no longer, excuse me, body armor manufacturers no longer make class 1 armor. You can't find it. No, not new class 1 armor. Because the NIJ pulled certification on it about 10 years ago. The lowest you can go now is class 2 because bullets today will go right through a 1 like it's not even there. It's ironic. They should have kept class 1 as an Under Armour component. Whatever. What do I know? I'm just a Boston's mate. So, where was I? Oh. It tells you how technology has changed. That armor that would never, ever work today was perfectly, even in a low quality example, like replica, was actually working, generally speaking. We're doing great here, Phil, but we are getting ready to wrap it up. So, Mr. Facebook person, if you were honest, you'd be here now. That's how I know you're dishonest. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out something. When you use a tactic, even if your exact statement, I tell you the sky is blue, you know those words are true. But if I'm using it in a dishonest way, see, the sky is blue, so you must be stupid. Okay, now I'm lying. I may be using factual words, but I'm getting to unfactual points, things I know are not true. To that end, it is completely dishonest to take factual statement like 33,000 people die by firearms every year in the United States. Okay, that's a factual statement. That doesn't mean we have a gun violence problem. 2/3 of them, about 22,000 a year, are suicides. Even if I were to ban all of the guns, to repeal the Second Amendment, ban the guns, and go so far as to make constructive possession of firearms and firearm manufacturing components and equipment a death penalty crime, which let's see how that goes over. All right. That's not going to change the suicide rates. You know, I know people want me to flag on the play here, and I'm going to kind of. When Australia banned their guns, 1996, their suicide rate dropped about a third. That's an absolutely incredible. Or maybe it was half. You know what? Let's go with half. Their suicide rate dropped by 50%. That was an absolutely incredible drop, right? Well, no. First of all, half of all suicides are written off as accidental drug overdoses because half of all suicides, actually more than half of all suicides, are deliberate illicit drug overdoses. I know I'll never be able to prove this, but somebody I knew growing up uh, slammed enough heroin to have uh, slammed all at once enough heroin for 5 people. Right? This was enough heroin for 5 people. She did it all at once in long enough to put the needle in her arm, I guess. Talking less than a minute. It's easier to call a drug overdose an accident than it is to face the family. Already that 50% is gone back down to 25%, which is less than my original 33, 1/3, whatever you want to call it. It gets worse. The suicide rates over the next 5 years started climbing back up to pre-ban levels. That's a detail they don't tell you about. The Aussies are so proud of their gun ban because, if nothing else, we cut the suicide rate. No, you cut the gun suicide rates, not the overall suicide rates. Is that coffee or tea, Bill? That reminds me, I gotta make tea as soon as I'm done here. Thank you. If you present an actual factual statement in a way that is not factually truthful, you're a fucking liar. Which is why my buddy from Facebook is not here. He knows I'm going to call that shit out. One thing he's really afraid of, and he should be, you know what? He should be, is the fact that if he had come in here, I would have pointed out the fact, and I had the numbers. I had the numbers, but I didn't call it up because he straight up said he wasn't coming. Per capita, Britain has a higher gun murder rate than the United States. Britain had a little over 6, Britain as in Britain, not the UK as in Britain, Scotland, Wales, and North Ireland. Britain as in south of Scotland, east of Wales, and west of the English Channel. Had something like 600 gun murders a year. The United States, when you go through that 33,000, only has about 1,000 actual gun murders per year. The U.S. has a little over 5 times the population of Britain. We should therefore have about 3,500. 3,500-ish murders per year just to be on par with Britain. Oh, whoops. That's not a convenient set of numbers, is it? And in the hopes that he's actually watching, let's say this, because most of you know this already by now. Back in 1996, I was that gun control supporter. Unlike anybody from roughly 99 on, what happened in 1999 again? Somebody tell me in the chat. I woke up and realized the house is burning down around us while we ignored it because what? We banned fires, I guess. I should drunk stream more often. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with these parting thoughts. First of all, gun control is a joke. It empowers criminals and terrorists because Vil and Ozzy and my buddy from Facebook and all of you other hate watchers out there cannot defend yourselves, but they can kill you. And believe me when I say that they will, and they will get away with it as long as you let them. 9017 is actually here now. Oops. Guess I made a mistake there. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, keep calm and mandatory carry on.